You might be asking yourself, why do you have Sky Pencils? Well, I'm replacing some Cryptomeria at my church that was in that pot, and there was one in that pot. That one's over there. So we're going to be replacing those with these. I'm going to take those home and see if I can't bring them back to life. They're pretty gnarly, half dead, and they just weren't getting enough water down in the those containers that they're in. So going to be replacing those, and you'll see those in a couple of weeks. Alright, what's up, y'all? So these are those two Cryptomeria I got from in front of my church. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, clean out all the dead stuff and debris. It's really dense, that nobody was taking care of it at all. And so I'm going to come in, we'll clear out all the dead stuff and get these actually in some pots. I just put them in pots as fast as I could. I'm not going to do any of the root work today. Just try and get those root balls cleaned up. Then I'll come back and let you know what I'm planning on doing with. Here's the second one. This is the one that was a little bit heavier down low. It's not quite as tall. This one's probably 6.5 feet tall. But these were both basically in planters shoved back into a corner, so you don't have a whole lot of growth on the back side at all on either of them. You get some more up at the top, up in here. But yeah. And again, I did basically the same thing. Left a little bit more of the inside growth on this one. This one just was so much more time consuming. I just kind of left off. I got so tired of it. There was so much growth on the inside. So much that I had to take out. There was a lot of dead stuff. If you come in and look, I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, all of this was dead growth. I left all of the green that I could find. Took out most of the dead stuff. Yeah, you can see some of the stuff coming out of the trunk was alive, but most of it was dead. Yeah, so that's the second tree. Make one last, oh, there's the carnage. All of the dead and some green. But yeah, it was mostly just dead foliage. Alright, so here's the first one. All cleaned up. What I did is I went in and cleaned up all of the dead stuff except for that one little piece right there. Cleaned up all the dead stuff on the inside, and then the first couple of inches, about a fist, of all of the primary and secondary branches, to kind of give some space for wiring later. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. I'll take a couple of pictures, and I'll see y'all on the inside of what I've got planned for these two trees. So again, this is the first one that I got done. This one was a little bit thinner. Foliage wise, it didn't have quite as much, especially down at the bottom, down here. It was just that one little branch. And then up to here. So all told, I'm almost 6 foot. That's another, it's about 8 foot tree, I guess. So yeah, that's the first one. And let me go get the other. What's going on, y'all? I'm back here at the computer. We're going to go over those photos that I took about all of that work that I did on those 2 Cryptomeria. And so this is just a picture of where they were. This is a little alcove. It's a corner goes in here and then comes across. They're pushed back tight into those corners. So they weren't getting any light on the back side of them. You can see this one, it's just the sun is basically over on this side. So you can see that one that's over here on the right is just all growing towards the light. This one has a little bit better spread, again, because west is this way. So yeah, let's get into it. Next one we're going to be looking at. Now I'll remember to just minimize instead of exiting it out. All right, so this is the first one. The one that's very light on the bottom. You've got this one branch coming around this way. You got some decent stuff in the middle, and then I believe that actually got taken out. I don't know if that one made it. We'll get into it when we see. But yeah, you can just see all of the dirty old foliage right there. And this is what it looked like cleaned up. You can see the little short branch down, or the single low branch down there. And we have branching going here, up. And then this long, which has some nice movement in it. So what I'm thinking is probably going to be air layering off the top somewhere around in there. Okay, so this is the top section of that tree, just leaned over. I've got it leaned out and propped up on a chair just so I could kind of look at it from a different angle, backed off a little bit. So what I'm thinking, bottom of the tree is going to be right there, at the lowest point. So this branch right here, I've got planned to use that as the apex of the middle section of the trunk, or the middle section of this particular tree. So hopefully I can get 2 or maybe even 3 trees out of this one. Maybe 4 if I air layer off any of the branches up here. But I'm not sure that I want to do that. So what I'm thinking is cut off this trunk, or this branch, and probably this branch right here. And so you'll have the bottom third of this trunk right here will be all open. Most of these are actually coming off of either the back side or this left side. So something that I could do is take this branch, bend it down and around, and have that pad wind up right about there. And that would mean all of this would get cut out. And then this pad right here is actually coming out towards us and kind of poking us in the eye a little bit from this angle. And maybe bring this one a little more towards the center line with the pad there.
So we've got a bigger pad, a smaller pad, and then maybe bring a pad off of from right below the apex and put that about here with this apex coming up, and then, ooh, that's ugly, right there. And do this all in a windswept kind of look. This corner, this triangle would actually probably come up like this, go like that. And so we've got just three main branches with maybe a little bit more going into it. So a lot of this would get cleaned up. Next part we're looking at. So here's the middle of the part. This is that branch. This is the top of that tree that I was talking about, the top part. And so if we bring this, oops, kind of curve it out and back up, and then we obviously have our apex here. We've got branching all around here. This part right back here is actually coming off of the backside a little bit. So that one would actually come out to the back pad here. This one pad here. With this one, this one. They're not quite the same level. They're fairly close. These two coming off of the trunk. So I don't know. One of these three is going to have to go, obviously. They're all bunched up together. So it could either be, it's probably going to wind up being this back branch. Right back here, either getting cut off or swung way back around to the back side and filling in this area right here. So we're looking bottom of the trunk, probably here. Yeah, probably there. Bring this one down, fill in here. This one down, filled in there. This one to the back, right in there. And a lot of this will have to go. And that way, first directional branch is going back this way. The apex goes against, but then comes back up. And we set it here. Maybe shorten this down to about like that. So we've got this big sweeping branch out this way. A little bit tighter right here. With a little bit of back branching that goes out and fills up some space. It's a possibility. It's fairly sparse in the middle, but that can all get fixed with time. All right, so bottom branch. This trunk has no taper here and just the one branch coming off to the end. So my two questions are, I could just air layer it here and have this one be another windswept design. And that's a possibility. It's not really something, it doesn't say, oh my goodness, that's awesome to me. I don't know. Or if we cut off see where we are. All right, so if that's the top or the bottom of the tree above, right there, we could do a lot of gin work up in here. And since this would be basically the live vein is just right there, we could turn all of this into shari. So we've got tree there, or top of the tree there, and get some major gin and carving work up here, as well as the entire left side of this trunk. And then we've just got this live vein. Granted, it's very straight, but I'm not sure, you know? And then if we did that, we could take this, drop it down a little bit, more like that, with the branching coming all off in one direction. So technically, this would turn into the apex right here, with padding and branching coming down, and turn it almost into like a semi cascade, but all I don't know what you would call it, you know, but single branch. It'd be almost like a literati, but the bottom trunk is just super straight. It's not super interesting. I don't know. But, I mean, it's a free tree. Worst thing happens is I don't like it and it gets chucked, or I just plant it in the ground and let it do what it wants to do. Could turn into something cool. I don't know. All right, so this is the second tree. You can see it's got a whole lot more down here at the base, but almost all of this right here is all dead. It's got a big, nice apex to it, which has got most of this was still alive. The apex was, but then we've got some random branches out this way. So here it is, all cleaned up. You can see I got a lot of the dead stuff off. Good apex, good top of the tree still. And again, I'm going to probably cut this into either 2 or 3 trees. We'll see. Let's get to the top. All right, so top of the tree. Trunk line comes up, curves over, and then back up. So it's got some decent movement. It's all like really well tapered at the top. So we can have a first directional branch here. Again, this one, because of where it was planted, you know, tucked back into that corner, and it was growing towards the light, especially this is the one that was there on the right. So the sun most of the time was on the opposite side. So it was leaning in towards that sun. And so you get a good curve to it. Again, really good tapering, but most of the branching is off to this side. There is some up this way, so that can be used. You can see some of them right in there. And then this top is just, bam, it's everywhere. So with this, what I'm going to want to do is probably first directional branch. This one is coming off kind of the front, so maybe take this one back that way. Leave this one coming out kind of towards us. Down this way. Use this to kind of counterbalance some of the weight as the tree is leaning over here towards the left. And then we'll do 1, 2. This one will probably also take to the back, just to kind of get some length out of it. But yeah, we'll again I believe this one is something that I'm going to use in the next part of the tree. So bottom of the tree would be at most there. So we could probably take that off. So if we come in here and actually use that as the bottom of the tree, remove this, and then have either this is the first directional branch, or I'm not real sure how long this one is. It might have some length on it. And if it does, we could bring this one out this way. Bring this one out. And then just kind of slow it. Oops, that's too long. Bring it in until we catch an apex right up here. And apex up in here. With the trunk line going up like this. And kind of work that apex back in towards the center. Because, I mean, it's got a lot of lean to it. This top section is probably 12 to 18 inches tall, I would say. And so that'd be about a 20-inch tree if we did that. Clean this up a lot. So maybe like a 16 to 18-inch tree, which would be kind of fun. This is the middle section. All right, so this is that one that I said I was planning on using. It's got another one that comes down like that, and then there's a third one. They kind of, if you're looking at the tree like that, they kind of, here, I'll do a top-down version that's a little bit better. So you've got the trunk of the tree, one comes here, the next one up comes up like this, and the third one comes up like that. So doing kind of like a little, it almost looks like a spiral staircase. And so I was thinking on this part, either doing a raft style, and if I did that, then I would actually take this whole thing and turn the entire thing into a raft, and then I could cut it into separate pieces eventually. Because it's very straight. But the bottom part's definitely going to be a raft. That's the one that I'm most excited about. So if we go back up and look at this. So you've got the 1, 2, and this one actually comes from right there, but swings back around. So you've got 3 or 4 branches up here that would all be usable in the raft. Or I could air layer it here and have like a spiral staircase. Like again, it's coming off like that, and they just step up perfectly. There's just about evenly spaced. The diameters are roughly the same, so raft style would probably be a little bit better for it, I guess. But I could do 2 separate rafts, I guess. Just do this one at a later date once I air layer this off and let the roots develop a little bit so that they have something to feed this while it's ground layering. That's my plan for the middle part, and then we have the bottom part. So every single branch except for 2 come off from about 80 degree, 110 degrees or so. So if you're looking at the all of them are coming like this, except 2 that come down from over here, and that's this one and this one. So if I cut those 2 off, and plant in the ground, and then ground layer this backside, turn the whole thing into a raft. It'd be very straight, but it's a very distinct possibility that it would look cool. I've got some top-down pictures. Yeah, here you can see on the backside, everything is coming off of this side of the tree except for that one and that one. So if I get rid of those two, it and score the back of the trunk a little bit, throw down some sphagnum on it, build a little box to plant it in. All of this turns into trees, and it's either 9 or 11. It is an odd number down here, so that is fantastic. I could even thin them out a bit to maybe 5 or 7 branches. Here's a little look down at the top. You can kind of see, but all of these are basically almost coming out of the same plane. Yeah. So I could either take off these two. Actually, it would have to be all of that. And keep this one and twist that up. Or I could take off that one. And it might work that way. I'm not sure. But yeah, looking down and through, so you can see all of these are coming out in basically the same plane. This one is a little bit of an offshoot, but it's close enough that I could wire it and pull it in this way, so that would be another trunk, and just wire these so that I can get a little bit more gap in between them, so they look like indistinct, or look like distinct trees. And that way we can figure out if after we raft it, it would just be this cool forest of one tree. I haven't done a raft yet. I haven't really even done a forest. So that would be my first foray into both of those. Although if you saw one of my shorts from a couple weeks ago, I have a bunch of Dawn redwoods that I got at a fireworks stand on my way to the North Carolina Arboretum, which was kind of weird. So my wife and I went up to the Arboretum for my birthday to go look at their bonsai exhibit. And on the way up, I saw a fireworks stand, and out front they had a bunch of, they were like 30-gallon Japanese maples. And I looked over, and sure enough, there was a sign that said Japanese maples, $10 and up. And so went up to the Arboretum. We didn't stop because we were going up to North Carolina, and it would have been, they would have just gotten cooked in the car if we had bought them and went up there and then came back. So he said, if they're still open when we come back, we will go and stop and look. And sure enough, they had, it was actually a fairly big nursery right behind this roadside fireworks stand. They had all kinds of stuff, and a lot of Japanese maples. They had quite a few different varieties of Japanese maple. I picked one of those up. They had little trade gallon pot. They're probably 2 or 3 year old saplings of the maples for $10. I got one of those, and they also had a bunch of Dawn Redwood trade gallons. They're probably 2 years old, maybe one. They've definitely have a little bit of growth on from this year. Uh, and so I got 7 of those. Um, Picked up 7 of those, a couple of smoke trees, and that Japanese maple. Those 2 smoke trees are going to be planted in the yard. They're more for my wife than for me. Um, but yeah, so going to turn those into a forest. By the time I get around to rafting this, it'll be at least next year. I'm planning on air laying off the top one coming up here in a few weeks. It is currently June 11th. You'll see this in in about a month. Um, so it's currently June 11th. I'm going to go ahead and cut in my air layer uh, sometime this week. Hopefully, be able to cut that off the top in at the end of August, or might have to wait until spring. Um, it shouldn't get too cold. We won't catch our first frost until mid to late December. Um, Maybe even January. Depends on the year. Um, so that's a possibility that I could get that air layer off in uh, a, by the end of this year. And if I can, then I will try and raft this. I don't know if I'm going to be rafting the whole thing or just this bottom layer. I haven't decided yet. Like I said, that one that we looked at, the middle section of this tree, possibly could be part of this raft, and then I just cut them apart later. Uh, but if not, then that middle section will have to get air layered off next year, and I'll start the raft in 2 years' time. So until that happens, later on in the fall, um, right before the trees start to go dormant, I'll come in here, wire these out, try and get them separated a little bit. That way, in 2 years, when it's time, they'll already be set in their structure. That way, I can go ahead and raft it. Uh, Maybe get one, or if we can get this one up this way, so it kind of looks like it might have been laying along the ground, but then eventually grew up. That'll be kind of cool. So that's what I'm looking at so far with all of these. Um, so yeah, just until I see you next time out at the bench, remember to grow them big, but keep them small.